Welcome everyone to Manny's Irish Pub. And Manny's Irish Pub is where we host the sports betting show. I'm starting today's show off with Dr. Chuck. Today's show, because of our schedules, may not include Tony Finn or Mr. Mejia, but we'll do better tomorrow to get everybody in. Well, it is always like having those guys on, but sometimes it just doesn't work and it's no big deal. So, I wanted to talk, Chuck, like I told you, about the 7-game series in Major League Baseball. And we have situations which I've always thought are unfair to the team that had not necessarily the lesser record, but is seeded lower. And we have a really rare situation with the Atlanta Braves, who won the division, with a vastly weaker win percentage than the Dodgers. Now the Dodgers have to play 3 consecutive games at home on 3 consecutive days. So, teams that have lost the first 2 games. And won the first game of the 3-game set. And I'm looking at my notes here. Those have gone 88 and 65. 7% ROI, 64 and 66 on the run line, averaging a 120 dog. That's a nice, tiny 5% return. $100 better made a whopping $850 on that. 70-73 with 9 pushes is the over. If you bet the over, that's a negative 5% ROI. If you bet the under, it's a negative 3% ROI. And the reason they're both negative, of course, is the difference between the money line and, well, not the money line, the total line. You know, what you pay for VIG versus over and under. So it's minus 110 usually no matter what. But the interesting thing is, of the teams, and this doesn't happen very often. This is a pretty rare animal. We have 3 times that a team was down 2-0 and then won all 3 of their games at home. But one time, and most recently 2019, the Nationals and the Astros played, and the away team won the game in all 7 games as the road team. Not the home team did not win 1 game in that series. As you recall, the Nationals won. So there's only been 3 teams since 2004 that have swept the board at home. The other one is 2017 ALCS. The Astros held serve for the first 2, and then the Yankees won 3 straight on no rest, of course. And then the Astros won the next 2. And in that series of 2017, that ALCS, the home court held. Now, the road team did not win 1 game. The Astros advanced to the World Series, defeated the Dodgers 4-3 to win that World Series. 2004 was the only other time. NLCS, St. Louis won the first 2 games at home, and then Houston was in the National League back then, won 3 straight at home with no rest in between. And again, home court held on all 7 games, and the Cardinals advanced to the World Series, but were unpleasantly greeted by those Boston Red Sox, who had just come back from an 0-3 hold to the New York Yankees and swept them in 4 games to end the Babino curse. So my question to you, Chuck, and you're really good baseball mind, you're up over 300 units at Sports Memo, which is absolutely insane. What do you think the chances are here with a series 2-0 in Atlanta's favor that the Dodgers could possibly pull this off?
It's so hard to, you bring up so many points with the win percent differential, and we've discussed ad nauseum almost to the chagrin of Tony Finn, the way this all fell. Clearly the Braves won the weakest division. They won the weakest division with the weakest record. They were not they came on strong at the end, but there were many points in the season where the East wasn't even ahead of the wild card teams, Cardinals, Reds, Padres, any of them. And so you can cry foul on so many different aspects, but this Braves team is hard to bet against, actually. This is them without Acuna, and they go and they get Adam Duvall, and Adam Duvall is almost like they didn't lose a beat in center field, and they go and get Eddie Rosario. Eddie Rosario is just, I don't know. I can't make any sense of this team. I wrote them off as this being the Mets or Phillies division when Acuna went down because, sure, Freeman's the MVP and Albies is, a much publicized, like the bargain discount contract of the century. And the pitching too. I mean, Soroka went down and they've had to piece that together. They went and got Charlie Morton and he turns 47 tomorrow, but he's pitching tonight in a playoff game. And I don't think the Dodgers can do it. I'm really bullish on Max Muncy. The guy being in that 2 or 3 hole for the Dodgers is really important. And just for that to happen on the last day of the season, I just think I'm not a big Walker Buehler guy, and
shame on you.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. I'm definitely I'm definitely thinking that that game. I was pretty big on the Dodgers tying the series up. Didn't think that would, be a thing they'd get back to LA and it would be tough on the Braves, but that didn't happen. And I just don't think, and I don't trust Dave Roberts, and I think he can be outmanaged, especially in this series. And I think that 2-0 hole might have been just overall winning 4 of these 5 games is going to be a bit much. That's my personal feeling. I'm betting it individually. I don't have a series bet. And so I don't know how it all.
Yeah, I'm thinking of taking the Dodgers for the series because they're just such a juggernaut, and they don't really correlate 100% to those teams I mentioned before. But Dr. Chuck, meet UCapper Ronald. Welcome to the show. He's making his debut, and our schedule's finally meshed, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it's been a tough time trying to get into this the pub.
I'm with you. Unfortunately, it's not easy to hurry up and get in here and get out.
Are you on the West Coast too?
I am in Ohio.
You're in Ohio. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, are you out west?
I'm in West. I'm in Seattle. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is like right after lunch. Yeah. This is early drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty close to Jesse Schul, who's in Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm actually. I actually didn't know that until last week. I'm heading down to Vancouver like early November. Maybe I could go see him and hang out.
I got this guy's $2 play. I got his $2 play earlier.
Hey, there you go.
I know.
That's awesome. Good promo there too.
I'm not missing the NBA.
I think both of us had like a huge run like during springtime earlier this year. We were both going at it.
That's good. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Ronald's going to be joining the NBA team too. He was number 1 last year at sportsmemo.com. And, it's going to be great to have him on board. And, maybe I can stay a few games behind him this year.
Like with a Sports Memo, we can't really see how everyone else is doing, but I'm pretty sure we were in a tight race.
Yeah. I mean, it was let's put it this way. The guys that are appearing on the show were in the top 5.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, except, but there's, 25 or 30 total. 25, I guess, now. There used to be 30, now it's 25. So it's...
the only way we'd be able to tell is just kind of collaborate on which place you're in, right?
Yeah, I can work on that for you guys. I can definitely... Yeah, I can definitely help with the knowledge base there on the rankings.
So you have a bigger access there, John?
Nothing much. I mean, don't read anything into it. Just I can get a how do I say? I can just get like the ranking as it shows on the front page of the site.
Okay.
So if you go to that, it just is a little bit bigger. It would show all the records.
Gotcha.
Which is not a big deal, but it's gonna be cool because NBA is. I feel like this, Ronald. I and Chuck. I like NBA a lot more than college basketball until it becomes March Madness. Then it almost flip flops during March Madness, and I'm all over that scene.
Mm-hmm. And then, so do you mean that in terms of betting or in terms of being a fan?
Both.
Okay. I'm sort of like the opposite, and I think Chuck's leaning the right way or the same way. During the regular season of the college basketball, I feel like it's a lot easier to bet than in the March Madness, because March Madness, teams can go all out. They do things that are a lot different than what they do in the regular season. So it's a lot more unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just So I don't know if Ron means this, but there is some. Drew Martin he used to call me like just the degenerate of degenerates, because I'm focusing in on a game between Siena and Monmouth on 5:30 on a Tuesday. But if you go dumpster diving in college basketball, you can just hammer, especially if you were to, and I've discussed this with some other people before, if you just find one conference and just focus in on that conference, you could just slaughter that conference. Like just
yeah.
I mean, sure, there's going to be value in big conferences too. And a lot of people don't want to read about your Towson pick or how much I like Houston State. But, as Rob Vino says, the money spends the same. And so it's if you can get people to follow you, sure, they'll watch your pick on Kansas versus Kentucky. But, I mean, like, is there an edge there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
I know someone who just focuses on that that division where like North Dakota State, that division there. There's one of the guys that I talk to a lot. He really focuses on that area, that region, and he just kills it.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Right,
makes complete sense.
But yeah, the March Madness we're into, and if you can find something there, that's what they want to hear and see and read.
I will I'll never forget the show. I was with Rob Vino, and he and I had started Manny's Pub Show at 4, and Oral Roberts was playing Ohio State, and knowing going in that they were the top free throw shooting team in the nation, I just, for whatever reason, I pulled up the live betting lines at BetMGM, and Ohio State has a 2-point lead with like 2:52 to go. And I preach this, Dr. Chuck. I do not bet in-game in the second half of the NBA especially. Do your work in the first half, have a plan, da-da-da-da. So there I am, 2 minutes, and I think it was 2:52. Rob remembers all the details. And I go, oh my God. And he goes, what? And I go, Oral Roberts right now is plus 650. Down to 2:52 to go.
That's a 15 seed for you.
So I was, oh my God. I mean, I have to play this, Rob. I got to play it. So I had one of the other games on the TV that I'm looking at right now. And as soon as I bet it, it was, it was more than pizza money. I felt a complete fool. Like, what, you just threw the money right out the freaking window.
That's never the case on a value. I mean, well,
it was a 2-point lead, but it was Oral Roberts. Well, I sometimes will not watch a game if I have money on it and it's coming down to the end, because I feel like I'm going to wreck it. I'd rather be victorious at the end after the game's over and go, yeah, I knew that one, as opposed to watching it just like vaporize. But that was crazy. Rob was giving me the play-by-play on the show, and I couldn't believe it when he said, game's over, they won.
Little did you know Dwayne was coming along with his choking.
Whoa.
And poor Liddell over here, he was getting death threats. I don't know if you remember the aftermath of that game, but it was a bummer.
Well, that point I vaguely recall, and that is terrible. I mean, nobody should be giving death threats over missing or bad coaching or whatever, and it happens far too often.
When we beat Michigan, they burn cars when we beat Michigan. So, I mean, when we lose to Oral Roberts and make ourselves an all-time stat, they do worse things.
Very true. Very true.
Some crazy stuff.
But that kid, Asmus, the B that was an S.
Yeah.
That guy, he is no joke. That's for sure. He could, I don't know if he has the ability, I don't know. It's a tougher thing once there's 300 NBA players to make it like that, but the kid can shoot.
Well, he makes free throws and he shoots like a few of the NBA players that I know of that I'm not going to reference today. Ron, we honestly talk too much about this. What was that?
I think everybody else is talking about this guy.
He got suspended today.
He got suspended. I don't think he's not gonna suit up at all. Period for Philly. He's done.
I don't know what's going on.
I did read a good piece. I wish I could remember I'll bring it on the show tomorrow. It was a real good piece actually, and it seemed like it was closer to firsthand knowledge. And really, the takeaway I had from the article was that Ben just wanted a fresh start. He felt that it had just gone so wrong in the wrong direction in his eyes that there was just no way for the team to recover, and that it was better for both the team and him to move on. Now, when I start reading into this, because I haven't picked sides, because we haven't heard Ben Simmons speak for himself. We've heard other people speak for him. We've heard the media, which, that nowadays you almost take it with a grain of salt.
You've told us how you feel about them too.
Ron, you'll appreciate this. There's only 3 guys in NBA history that started out their first 4 years averaging 7 assists or more, 7 or more rebounds or more, and double digits in scoring in each of the first 4 years. Ben Simmons is one of them.
Get this, Ron. Get this.
I'm not gonna know.
Well, it's Magic Johnson from the Lakers and Oscar Robinson. It was the only 3 in NBA history who have ever done it.
If I were to guess, I mean, those would be probably 2 of the 5 that I would have said.
Yeah. The problem about Simmons, like if Ron's right that he never even suits up, I mean, we're talking in a calendar year, the trade value on Simmons goes from a year. If Daryl Morey would have pulled the trigger last October saying, hey, you might lose Dame, we probably could have gotten Dame. Now we're talking like, are we going to get Malik Monk and some picks? Like,
I don't know if they're going to be that desperate, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, they lost a lot of value just today alone, and the longer they drag it out, I just feel like the asking price is going to have to go a little bit lower.
The day that my brother called me the day, because he knows I'm a big Sixers fan, and he called me the day that Daryl Morey said no to James Harden purely because he wanted to keep Tyrese Maxey, and I said I like Tyrese Maxey too, but what the hell?
Yeah.
And he said this will end Daryl Morey's 76ers tenure, and I was like, and then now look at this, yeah. So
I don't know, like I like Maxey a lot, to be honest. I think he brings more to the table than Ben Simmons does. I think defensively, obviously, he's not going to be up to par, but what he brings,
he's still pretty damn good.
What he brings on the offensive end is I think almost everything that Ben doesn't.
Oh, I thought he was the complete steal of that draft. But at the same time, you could piece together. I mean, if you're piecing together Harden and Embiid and guys around him, you're going to win the East.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer.
Well, that was mentioned in that article too. That at the beginning of last season, there was a strong rumor, at least internally, that Simmons was going to Houston for Harden, and he really. I mean, it's got to be hard. You think you're at the city or the franchise that loves you, and they just signed you just signed a huge max contract, and I can see how that would be shocking. Because as fans, we're taught that the players are, like in the movie Moneyball. Do you want 5 in the chest or 1 in the head when you're announcing news that you're getting traded? Right? It's 1 in the head, and he obviously didn't. This has turned into 25 in the chest. And that's I guess that's the analogy, as bad as that is. But we're going to be doing a shorter show than usual, as I now had some come up in my schedule. But Ron, I wanted you to talk about your NBA pick in the Western Conference, which you had shared with me before we went live on the air here, and I am very intrigued by it. And then I'll give a quick one in the East, and then we'll see what Dr. Chuck has to say, and we'll call this a show.
Yeah.
But the floor is yours, Ron.
Yeah. Thanks. So actually, Wager Talk today was earlier today, and I talked about this play as well. But I really do like the Grizzlies to win, go over their regular season win total. They're projected to be in the ninth highest regular season win total. At 41.5 wins, and that kind of puts them right outside the playoffs towards the end of the season. But I really like the depth and versatility of this team. They have players who can play and defend multiple positions, and pretty much most of the players in this rotation can shoot the three, except for Steven Adams. And last year they were able to win 38 games in a 72-game season without one of their key players. Jaren Jackson missed majority of the games last season. I think he only played the last 11 games or so of the regular season before playing in the playoffs for them. And Morant missed some time too. Luckily, it wasn't as long as what some people saw when it initially happened, but he did miss some games. And I think this season, Morant and Jaren Jackson put together a huge season. They take a big leap forward together, and as long as they both stay healthy, I think they make the playoffs. The Grizzlies had also one of the deepest benches in the league last season, and I think they do have that again this season. They have a shot to have at least 8 players averaging 10 plus points per game this season. They're going to be able to beat out a lot of the second units in the league, and during the regular season when teams are messing with load management with some of their key players, a deep bench goes a long way. Obviously, I don't know how this team is going to be built in the playoffs, but as far as the regular season, they're built to win. And I think Coach Taylor Jenkins and his system seems to be a perfect fit for this roster. He's been able to get the most out of all of his players. Guys like Kyle Anderson, Brandon Clark, I think he looked pretty good also this preseason. I think Desmond Bane has a big season this year as well. With all that said, I think over 41.5 is very, very doable, and they sneak into the playoffs in that 7th or 8th spot.
Yeah, I like it. What do you think of it, Chuck?
I think that's a pretty great play. It's just they're gonna beat up. The West, everybody just kind of, I think, is wary of taking a over in the West that isn't one of those marquee teams. And the Grizzlies are the kind of team that's going to beat up on the lesser teams. And they're going to usually be a favorite against the Eastern Conference that isn't one of those top 3 or 4 teams. And so, like he said, it's hard to complain when you got a guy like Morant and what they've built around him, and plus the coach. Yeah. He's everything with that young team that is the reason Stan Van got fired. He's kind of the antithesis of that, and he's just I don't think I never thought Dave Yeager got enough respect because of the name, and I think that's where he's at too. But the team, we're talking this is a playoff team. Well, this is at least a fringe playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a very tough division too. So I think that's where it's adding value, because everybody and their families are on the Nets or the Lakers, and there's no reason to bet them to win the World Championship at those prices, because they're not going to get any richer. It's not like you can get a Chicago Bulls, for example. I think maybe one of you guys can look it up real quick just to make sure it's right. 70-1. To win it, and then I'm not sure what it is for the conference. But my spiel is on the wins total first. Maybe you put pizza money on the Eastern Conference with them, but I think they're the team that is really sneaky good, having added DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Tony Bradley to a roster that already had Zach LaVine and Nikola Vukovic. And Vukovic came from that trade with Orlando at the March trade deadline last season. So they certainly have, 5 guys. Any of those names I just mentioned could be the starting 5. And I think, Billy Donovan's going to be the right type of coach to figure this out in the first 20 games of the season and get the rotations going. And I think Chicago fans should really be pretty excited about what they have going into this season. So I think my bet for this NBA show here on Manny's Irish Pub would be to take the over wins total and then a pizza money bet on the Eastern Conference champion, or better yet, I would take them to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, and so speaking to, without stepping on anybody's toes, but as far as Ron's goes, what I was going to add one more thing is, when you're looking at these type of things, I always have future win total plays that I put out. I bet Ron does. I bet John does for most sports. And this is not something that a lot of people, I think they like that you do them. I think they like that you win. I don't think a lot of the people that are following us are putting out money that is gone until June. But
yeah, that's tough.
That's the tough part, right?
But at the same time, that's a good way to use the access of the people. So we're 3 sports professional bettors here, but there's even people that are spending more money and have more knowledge and things like that. And so to Ron's total, I think, I haven't looked since yesterday when I did most of the work. The Grizzlies to go under, they're giving you money. So yeah. Ron's clearly onto something, because if you watch these things, every one of these bets starts at -110, -110.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I think it's juiced up to like -140 the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
At the 41.5. So yeah.
And that's just to go 42 and 40, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you think about it, they won 38 games in the 72 game season. Yeah. They got better, and you're only asking them to win 4 more. I mean, like it's and
to have less and to have a lower win percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and then without making a pick of my own, but to John's point, the Bulls roster's nuts.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the cast-offs. It's literally the cast-offs of all the other teams, and once you put them together, we're talking this is crazy. And it's funny that he said that. This is crazy, but I think the Bulls could host a playoff series if injuries go the right way. Yep. and the Nets mess around with what they've got, and the Bucks have a hangover, and there's a lot of things. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Zach LaVine was the best player on the team that also has Vucevic and Lonzo Ball, who I love, DeMar DeRozan, who's always got a chip on his shoulder, and the Bulls won't trade Zach LaVine for Ben Simmons. That's how good they think he is.
I think Zach LaVine is awesome. I mean, I had the same play, John. I pretty much love this over on the 42.5 for the same reason. They got Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan. You didn't even mention Derek Jones yet, and I think he might be injured right now, but I think what he brings to the table is a lot more. Yep. Just because you have a facilitator like Lonzo Ball. Can
you imagine
go ahead.
Yeah, can you imagine what LaVine's going to shoot from deep with Lonzo? I mean, geez.
Yeah, nice. That's going to open up a lot for him. And I think I'm very big on LaVine. I think he really takes a step forward this season as well, and kind of places his name with a lot of the superstars in this MVP running. Because think about this: last season, he was the only player to average over 25 points per game, shoot over 50% from the field, over 80% from the free throw line, and 40% from 3, plus average over 3 3-pointers per game. Nobody else did that. Just Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine.
And then I'm even more bullish on this play, John, which is funny because we actually did not talk about this off air. We literally have not talked about this. And Billy Donovan can't play, obviously. But is there a coach that has a bigger chip on his shoulder? I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of people that perceive him as the guy that drove Durant out, and the way that all ended, and left the Thunder as what they are, and really not through a fault of his own, I don't think.
I agree.
And he's got a shot in the easier conference, and now he's kind of loaded with guys that he can kind of instill that same I mean, it's just
it's his team. That's the thing I like too. He's a puzzle solver, and I think he's probably one of the best to be in that position to figure out the best combination of these guys. And there's nothing to say that a rotation has to be the same 5 guys starting every single night. We rarely does a team do that. So I think it's going to be really fun to watch Chicago evolve, and we all 3 of us are unanimous that think it's going to be in the right direction. So Chuck, before we sign off, do you have anything you want to add for a free pick show?
Well, do you want it to be NBA, or you don't really care? Or
it can be anything you want.
I would, if you want to get something,
except table tennis.
Yeah, how about if you needed? I am on as a premium play to clients. I am on the Braves first 5 run line. They're getting it's Uncle Charlie. I fade Walker every day.
Could you imagine?
And no, we're talking. We cash this game if it's 1-1. Like it's a half a run, and
it's where the value is. There's no question.
Yeah,
and
it's gone. So it's gone from plus 110 all the way down to minus 110, but that's still good value.
Yep.
It's still. I mean, it's moved 20 cents across. But if you want to get some early money. I mean, you won't have that money to bet later tonight, really, but
that starts in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's an advantage of a live show is grab yourself some Uncle Charlie. It makes no sense, but the lineup the Braves put out there is exactly what is Walker Buehler's emesis. Is just they can hit that fastball, and Freddie Freeman can't keep striking out. I mean, they've won 2 games, and Freddie Freeman looks like Adam Dunn out there. So I think I'm afraid for the baseball fan in me that the Braves go up 3-0 today, but I'm just taking that first 5 run line.
Yeah, it's hard to see the Dodgers going down 3-0. That's a tough one, but I think like you said, there's value there. In the
pitching
first
matchup,
at the very least, the first 5.
Pitching matchup wise and analytics wise, I had it more likely the Dodgers won Game 2 than Game 3. So
yeah. I think the Braves. I wrote the Braves off early just because of Acuna being out. I thought they were done.
Yeah.
We talked about the Phillies overtaking them because the Phillies had the easiest schedule of the last 42 games, and they screwed it up. And they really did. They screwed it up. They had to give Harper some support, but that's another story for another time. But
I know we could.
Don't tell anybody my premium pick was Dodgers -0.5 for the first 5.
Oh man!
Oh, so you got the.
And now I feel terrible because Dr. Chuck is number 1 by from here to Pluto.
I'm sure we've
on
gone
Sports Memo in Major League Baseball. Man alive!
I mean, so much about it makes sense. And
and I have
part of
2
why
prop bets.
Part of why I'm off against you is because of how little sense it makes. But
I see it. But Mookie Betts is another prop that I have over 1.5 total bases. I was going to give that out in the show, and then this one you're going to laugh, and then we'll have to hang up. Quarter unit that one of the teams will not score at 4-1. So that's a quarter unit. If I win, that gets me a pizza. That's pretty good. Well, actually, it gets me 4 pizzas.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Rob Vino is in the backstage. I'm just going to bring him on for a second, just to say hi to you guys.
I know.
Hey, Rob.
Rob, you're going to be so angry that I just gave out a free play against your team.
And
no, I would never be angry about that, Joe.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, I could very well play against my team. I have no problem with that. But I assume you're talking about the Dodgers.
Yeah. Rob, I had something come up in my schedule. I saw you backstage, but I have to cut the show short. Nothing, earth-shattering. But I wanted you to meet Ron, who's to your left.
Hello, Ron. How are you?
Hey, I know Rob is on that Bulls over too, so I think
Nice.
we hammered the crap out of that.
yeah.
Oh,
I hope it's.
And
I hope it doesn't get to
what
that
else is
point.
interesting, and why I wanted to just take a minute here before we end the show for people listening to this. This is you're seeing something pretty damn good right now. Ron was number one at Sports Memo in the NBA last year, and Rob Vino has been number one in the NBA at Wager Talk for the past 2 years.
Nice.
And when you go back to back, and you're number one at Wager Talk or Sports Memo for 2 consecutive years, nobody's ever done it 3, but I'm sure Rob, if there was a guy to do it first, he's the one. So these are the guys that you really want to put it. What's that?
I said at least
I
you
didn't
just
hear-
gave him the old Joe Kibosh there, so that's good.
And I don't want us to start singing Kumbaya here either. But if you're going to pick 2 guys that for the NBA, even though I feel I'm pretty good at the NBA too, but seriously, Ron and Rob Vino should be at the top of your list. And they're running discounts right now for season-long subscriptions at both sites. You got to take advantage of it. You really do. And then worry about taking, a subscription from Chuck and I.
Yeah, I was playing around and thinking about how much I want to chase Rob on this back-to-back. It might be a challenge. Sometime during the season, we might have a challenge.
If it's something positive, Ron, I've always say go for it and do it, and then you'll know what it feels like.
No, I hope you do, Ronald. I hope you do.
Yeah.
Go after it. It's not easy. I mean, it's
100%.
There's luck involved for sure. But hey,
like when you have the Dallas Cowboys in the circuit contest this past week.
Ooh,
man, I think I changed my shorts 3 times.
How'd you do in circa?
We're doing okay. I don't like mentioning it because the betting gods are listening to this show daily.
Oh,
and I would like to believe this is how you avoid the 0-5 by not even boasting for 1 second that you're doing better than the top 25%, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. Are you in it too?
Yeah. Finally hit a groove. I'm back-to-back 4-1 weeks in circa.
Nice.
So hopefully, I'm kind of sort of hoping I can kind of go 5-0 this week to try to make it close in that.
Oh yeah, you'd be right there. You would be right there at 5-0, even 4-1. You might be there. That's excellent.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So Rob, I'll let you talk more tomorrow. So I apologize for cutting it a little bit short, but
John, that's all right. Sorry, I got here late.
No, that's okay. I appreciate you coming on whenever you can come on. It's awesome. And then Ron's making his debut today, but it was great to have you 2 guys together. And I think that'll probably happen more often than not. And people will want to know who you guys like in the NBA, that's for sure, especially on Manny's Irish Pub, where we can get you both together.
Sounds good.
I'll just have to mute Finn's mic and let the NBA experts speak.
I think they kicked it off today with the NBA tip-off show.
Yeah, they did.
Tony, and I think they had Ski with them. I'm not positive about that, but
yeah, I think Ski was there too. Yeah, next.
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a huge card, so we'll be there with Joe. But we'll see what we can do this season, right? Nothing to play tonight.
I'll make sure I jump in the chat room no matter what. I probably wouldn't have an angle of the day for like a couple, maybe a week, if they want to do that again. I thought it was fun.
Oh, I did. It's a great segment for sure. It was a great segment. If nothing else, to watch us try and figure out what you were talking about.
Well, I mean, he could read it, and then my idea is that I would have a video that Joe Ranieri would have, and then he would play my version of it after you guys say what you think the version is. And then I would say, look, guys,
sounds pretty interesting.
What's so hard to understand about this?
No, but the one, and I can't even remember it now, John, but the one you sent kind of as half joke, half serious that day to Joe. I forget if it was pictures, if it was, I forget what it was.
Oh, I put the p-value formula. I showed that, and then I also, it had something to do with a variance or.
So you're a stats guy.
Yeah, like back propagation models is the proper term, which you're probably familiar with, Ron.
Yeah, a little bit. Probably not to your level, but I understand a little bit of it.
No, I'm sure you're right there too. But I think that's what I did for fun, and it had a standard deviation on the one.
Right.
You know, the scoring deviation was.
Usually they filled Joe in on what the angle was, and that day they didn't let him see it until it hit the screen.
You're right,
because it almost exploded.
That's because we did it deliberately. Because
right.
I forget who, I guess Chris or James told him that I didn't have time to do one, and then they sprung it on him, and then he literally was like, "What the hell is this?"
Right, exactly what it was. So funny! Oh my god, that was funny.
Yeah, it was teams that are. Yeah, it was scoring. I think it was one standard deviation or 1.5. Over a 3-day period over their season average. That's what it was. But it was a hell of a record. I mean, you know, Ron would look at it and go, yeah, I played those all the time. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. Have a good night. And Ron, thanks for being on the show. We'll have you on again. It was great having you on board, and great having you two guys together. The NBA top minds from Sports Memo and Wager Talk all on the same show. Man, that's pretty cool. All right, so for Rob Vino and Ron, myself, Dr. Chuck, Tony Finn, Tony Mejia, Steve Merrill, and everybody else I forgot to name, may all the wins be yours.